Hello, my name is Stephen Story. Today we'll be looking at the concept of belonging. To illustrate this concept, I'll be using the painting Hermannsburg Mission and Mount Hermannsburg by Australian Indigenous artist Albert Namatjira. The concept of belonging is defined as the affinity or connection one has to a particular community, place, or people through cultural, social, personal, or legal means. Belonging is a universally important concept as it forms a cornerstone in the foundation of basic human needs in society. When looking at cultures such as the First Australians, it can be seen that belonging is a vital part of their traditions, practices, and culture. According to Harrison and Selwood, many First Australians believe that they are autochthonous, meaning they believe they have always been here and belong here. For the First Australians, belonging provides a link to their cultural heritage, traditional practices and teachings, as well as the foundation of their cultural identity, meaning that belonging serves as a link to their ancestors, current elders, and future generations, therefore further reinforcing the link between generations as well as their affinity to the land on which they live.
Albert Namatjira was an Indigenous artist famous for his outback landscape paintings. His work, Hermannsburg Mission and Mount Hermannsburg, one of his most famous works, depicts the mission where Albert lived as well as the outback in which he was raised. In a sense, it represents the two communities that Albert belonged to. The painting represents the concept of belonging through its layout and color, representing the mission and the surrounds. The layout of the painting sees the mission's buildings being centralized in the outback mountains, bush, and plains located around the mission. By centralizing the mission buildings, it represents the minor belonging/connection he felt towards the European settlers community. On the other hand, by emphasizing the details of the surrounding outback area, it shows the greater affinity he had towards his First Australian people's community, further reinforced by the colors used for both the mission buildings and the surrounding outback. As seen in the painting, the mission buildings are predominantly white with shades of grey tones. These colours and tones represent the more singular beliefs of the settlers and missionaries, as well as those that were pushed on Albert during his teenage years and time in the mission. Furthermore, when looking at the surrounding outback landscape, it can be seen that the colours consist of brighter shades of green, brown, and blue, as well as darker emphasizing colours such as black and dark brown. These colours and shades represent the diverse range of the First Australians' beliefs, traditions, and culture, further representing the culture and beliefs Albert grew up with throughout his youth.
The painting's meaning can be further extended to represent the conflict of belonging that most First Australian people felt during the colonisation of Australia. As during this time, many First Australians were separated from their communities and their traditional homes, leading to the feeling of identity loss, as well as the loss of connection and belonging. So, the painting Hermannsburg Mission and Mount Hermannsburg by Albert Namatjira represents both his sense of belonging to his cultural First Australian heritage and adopted European community. It further extends to represent the conflicted feelings of belonging that many First Australian people felt during the colonisation. The concept of belonging is fundamental as it relates to our affinity and connection to people, community, and place. Further, being vital to the First Australian culture, as belonging forms not only a basis for their traditions and practices, but also provides a link to their cultural heritage and ancestors. The work Hermannsburg Mission and Mount Hermannsburg by Albert Namatjira represents the affinity and connection he has to both the settlers community and his traditional community. It further reflects on the conflict of belonging seen during the colonisation of Australia. So, to my fellow pre-service teachers, I wish you to take just one thing away from this, and that is home is where the heart is, and that is where you belong. Thank you.